Alright, in today's video, we are going to demo a installation and the setup of SQL Server reporting services. In general, install the SQL Server reporting services is relatively simple. There's lots of information on the internet. So for this demo, I will try to do a install and also to make sure each steps is more easy to understand because there are quite a few users. For the beginners, it may get confused. Okay, so let's get started. So here is the demo system I'm gonna use. Okay, so I'm going to use the host name. It's in this demo. It's called W25. The OS is Windows 25, and the SQL Server is 2022 Developer Edition, and we're going to use the default instance. For the OS user, I'm going to log on to administrators with local admin privilege. It really doesn't matter as long as you have a local user or remote domain user. Typically, in the corporate environment, you can be given a domain user, yourself with local admin to perform the installation. Similarly, this user have the sysadmin to log on to the SQL Server. So this is a privileged user we're going to use to do the installation and configuration. So as far as the SSRS user, so in this case, we also use a Windows user, and because we don't have domain for lab environment. So the SSRS, its OS user, it is, just for simply, it is also named as SSRS, and the SQL login is also, we're going to use the Windows authentication. So the SQL Server login, it is going to use Windows authentication. Okay, so this is basically. So let's get started. So I'm going to minimize this one. Let's go to the Microsoft page. So if you do an internet search, probably do like SSRS install. The first page probably give you some Microsoft Learn, install, and configure SQL Server reporting service. Starting SQL Server 2017 and Microsoft separate reporting service with SQL Server install. So it becomes a separate install. Okay, prior to that, when we install SQL Server, we can install SQL Server database engine like full search and other things like SSAS, SSRS, and SSRS. So nowadays, the SSRS reporting service was separated. Okay, so we're going to do a separate install. Okay, so now you can see here is this, download. So we're going to simply download this one. I already download, so it is in my download folder. It's 100 megabytes, something like that. Okay, so I'm not going to go to the long download again and just use. So it is in my download folder. So we're going to just simply click and restore. So this is the install image called SQL Server reporting services.exe. So we can click this and start the install. So currently, you see, this is the user. I'm logged on to, this is my host name. This is the user. So any user we can use as long as it's allowed to do the software install. Okay, either local user or a domain user, depends on our environment. All right, so let's get started. Besides that, as we see, we already have the SQL Server installed on this machine, this same machine. It is SQL Server and SQL Server Agent. Okay, so let's double click. The install is going to be very simple. I just want to, pointed out something so for the user to easily understand what being installed, exactly what's happening behind this installation. So click on that bar, install the SQL Server reporting services. So we're going to use a developer edition. If you're in the prod environment, you're going to install the production key. This key is actually when you install the SQL Server, you have the production key you can copy and paste here. So here we can just use the developers, and much easier. So then accept the license term, and then you see there's no other options. You just install SQL Server services, okay? And to let's see. Let me open the let me open the services, okay? You can see it, services, service, SMC, MSC, got name MSC, okay? So this is the current services. So we don't have the SQL, reporting SSRS, so we have the SQL Server installed on this box. Okay, so we're going to go ahead to continue. Okay, so we're going to see next. Then this is the install location. We can just take a default, or you have a specific location you want to use. It's really doesn't matter much. Okay, so once the service installed, we will see it should be very quick, and after that, the service will be started and running. So we can see from the services this GUI, or we can use PowerShell get service. Like if I do a PowerShell, you can see it as well. So if I do a get services service like SQL. Probably don't have this yet. Maybe this one. So see, we have this SQL Server. And now you see we have the SQL Server reporting services, this one, okay? So now the service is installed. Here, if we do a refresh, let me do a refresh, okay? The reason I'm showing this, it's basically, it just let people to understand the behind the installation. So after we install the SQL Server reporting services, you can see it. It is running right now. It is automatic. And also you can see the user holding the services is NT services, SQL Server reporting services. This is a virtual, I make folks called a virtual user, okay? Service user. So now the service has started and ready for us to do the configuration. So we can close here and relaunch this configure report. Okay, so I'm gonna just close this for now. Then each time we need to change the SSRS, so we need to go to the reporting service configuration. Okay, you'll find it's called Report Server Configuration Manager. So we're going to use this to do the configuration, okay? So, and the first page, it says server name. Because we are connected local, right? So this is the SQL Server and the SQL Server is on the same server. So the default to find the local. If we gonna use remote, we're gonna use a different host name. So I'm gonna just demo the SSRS and the SQL Server on the same OS server. So and the reporting service instance name just SSRS. There's nothing you can change. Okay. So let's connect. So now it says, you see, it is the SSRS instance or services is started. So let's go on. So the first one is as the service account. The service account by default, when we install the SQL reporting SQL Server reporting service, that is the one we just showed. It's a virtual service account. Okay, so that is from this one. This is the virtual service account. We can use it if we want. Okay. However, in corporate environment, we might want to use a domain account. Okay. So in my case, because we don't have domain, I'm going to just use the Windows account. Okay. So in my case, we already see early, it is this Windows account. So this is a local user. You know, the host name is serves like a domain name. Okay. So, and then we're gonna enter the password. Okay. So let me enter the password. So let's click apply. So what is this used for? They said specify a Windows domain user account or built-in account to run the report service. Okay. So once we choose a user and click apply, they will change the service account. Okay, we'll see shortly. Okay, let's apply. And you can see it is successful or green. So now we go back to the to the service GUI, right? So you can see it. This one will change to the one we specify, okay? Because they restarted this service, okay? So let me do a refresh. You see now the logon as. So this is the user. It is going to hold the SQL service, SQL Server reporting service. This Windows server. So this is the I just want to point it out. Okay. Which user account being used. So this is the first user. This is the OS user. It is the owner or this OS service. Okay, it's called start name. Okay, so that is the first one. So once we go this, we're gonna go to next page. Okay, the next page is going to see it's basically the admin for the reporting service. So you can change, you can change the virtual directory name. If you have HTTP, you can use HTTPS. So here we just use the default. Okay, I'm going to use the default 80. Okay, and this is the URL. Before I apply, let me go to the database first, because reporting service is going to need a database on back end. So right now we don't have any. So I'm going to click change database. So the radio button says create a new reporting server database. So I'm going to connect next. Okay. So before we continue, let's connect to our local SQL server. Okay. So this is our local SQL server. Let me disconnect this first. Just restart. So I'm going to connect database engine. You see the server name and the Windows authentication. So you see I am using the administrator as a Windows like a SQL or admin account as well. So once connected on this one, I don't have any database. Let's see the security, the login. So the administrator also a SQL login. So if we right click the property, you can see it. This user, it is a sysadmin. Okay, so they can configure the SQL server. So I also have a local user, not local user, SQL login created. But for this one, it is public. There's nothing be granted, just a user SQL login. All right, so we will see this shortly. So then said connect to the database server. What reading this? Choose a local or remote instance. So this database, it can be the local one or remote. Okay. If we have time, we can demonstrate local or remote as well. And specify a credential have permission to connect this server. For this one, it's basically the user, you connect the SQL server and do the configuration. That means this user must have certain privilege, like say create a database, grant the privilege to the user. Okay, so let's see. You can, because there's only two options. One, it is current user and the SQL Server account. So I'm going to just use current user and in that instead of SA. Okay, so let's do a test connection. It's successful. So we go to next. So next one, you can see the database name. What is the database name we're going to create? There's two database, and one we can take the default, so it's easy to identify in the future. Okay, and the report server mode is native. Okay, so that is this screen. So next, go to so now it is going to the page called credential. So this credential, it is basic says what user is going to be used to connect SSRS to the database. So now you can see it. You can choose a service credential. In my case, I'm going to just choose the service credential, and same as we already did. Okay, so SSRS user. You can choose different. You can see you can use Windows credential, SQL Server credential. Then for Windows credential, you're gonna put the username, password, and for the SQL Server credentials, then same thing. You see SQL login. Okay. So I'm gonna leave it as default the service credential. Okay. So next. So before I click the next, and as we see, this user and this is the database. Okay, so let's do it, see what's going to happen. So after we create this database and on the target database server, so there will be two databases created and the login we use to connect the backend database. It is it's going to be the one we specified. Okay, so let's do a refresh. So now you can see it. There's a two database being created. That is being, this is the database is going to have the boom to support the like repository database to support the SSRS things. Okay, they have two databases, and basically, and Microsoft created those tables, views, etc. to support this operation. Okay, so this database. Let's take a look at the login. So the login, early when we look at the user, this is just a user, have nothing, any privilege. Okay, now if we look at this user, probably machine short of on memory, so it's a little bit slow. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this, it is basically let people to understand the. It is also a learning for myself because which user, what user doing what. Okay, and it's still spending because I try to expand these things. It takes lots of resources. Now let me try one more time. Property. Now it's up. So now you can see it. Server role, it is still public. Let's see your user mapping. You see, now user mapping, it is being granted. Let's see, masters for and MSES, whatever privilege needed to be given that the user will log on to do the configuration is this with this element, right? They will grant necessary user privilege for this user. Okay, whatever user being choose. Okay, you can see all these roles are needed for this user. Reporting service, you see, granted to this user to be the DB owner. And also for this one, also granted for DB owner. Okay, so I want to point out the detail, what privilege being granted for this user. Okay, and we probably can do instead of on Windows, if you want to use the repository database or report database on the Linux, I think it's going to work as well. But anyway, so here it is. So we get the demoed what we want. So now we're going to go to the, let's see, web service. So we have the database now. We can click. So I'm going to just use the default for demo purpose. Click apply. So this URL is going to be the URL for administration, and also there's a web portal URL. This is going to be for the user to access the reporting. So we can do the same thing. You can change the virtual directory, but for this demo, we just use the default. Okay. So once this is complete, and then everything's up. So if the people doing the SSRS administration, you will do whatever configuration afterwards. Okay. And there's another thing here. It's called encryption key. You see, there's a yellow exclamation. Yellow exclamation sign. So typically, this one you might want follow the instruction to back up this encryption key. Okay. So for example, let me do a backup. So you pick up a location and save this for the future. Okay. So let's see, I'm just doing backup, pick up a location. It's by default to go to the document folder. So let's see, we want to call the host name and SSRS. So that is the, so let's see, we're going to call it this key. It really doesn't matter as long as you keep it in the place future, just in case you need it. Okay. Then you will need to give a strong, let me re-enter, maybe strong password. Let me try one more time. Strong password. Okay. So let's do a search. Okay. Okay, it says screen. So this key, as I said, is going to be used in certain cases, for recovery in case of emergency, or maybe when you move the reporting server from here to another migration. Okay. Anyway, so let's visit this web service. So this is the one. So let's click because if we click this, this is just local access. Okay. You see the port 80. So in my case, they ask the username to sign this. So I'm going to just use this user. So on this part, Microsoft is not, to my understanding, is not very clear. Sometimes we'll do the domain install, right? So you don't even need to specify the user. But here in my situation, so I just they ask us to provide the user and password for Windows security and to log on to this website. Okay. Oh, let's see, the password is incorrect. And SSRS. I think this is the password. First time, it may take a little bit time. And after that, we also visit the portal. Okay, so that is the two places. While it's logging, let's go back to the to this one. So I'm gonna exit. So in the future, for example, let's go back to this one. So in the future, if we need to reconfigure these things, we do the same thing. So we're going to say connect, right? And service account web URL. So if we need to change those things, and also the database. So for the database, you see, if we want to change database, right? See, we can choose existing one, or we can create a new one. Okay, so if it says I want to change the repository database to another server, so you can move the database to another server, then choose the existing one. Okay, so now let's visit the web portal. So this is the they give this Microsoft SQL reporting service. So that is the service port. And primarily when people is going to use this web portal here, and if you're the SSRS administrator, you will like managing users, managing the folder, and create reports, so on and so forth. That is a different different job. Okay, like create those kind of folder, data set, data source, paginate report, so on and so forth. Publish. There's lots of work. Just the SSRS itself. All right, so to summarize, so basically through this install, I just try to like pointed out those users. What is the service user? So the service user is basically the user, and when Windows starts this service, right, they need a Windows user. It's either a virtual user or a domain user or local user. So, and also there's another user, it is do the SQL Server configuration. Typically it is an admin user. And then the user which used for connect from the SSRS to the database server as like the repository. Okay, so we basically there's like 3 users in this case. And in my case, I just reuse this Windows user. You can use SQL SQL login, like from example SA to user. And all right, so that is the video. I just want to share what I learned. And okay, so I'm gonna stop here.